For my brothers, never had an ear to hear 'em. These the bricks for our sisters, help us build it. If I could be a black fly on the wall, I can hear and see it all and have the mind of a god. Black, 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 black. Fly, 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 fly. Black, black, black.
Welcome to another episode of Black Fly on the Wall. It's your boy Lide. I'm your host. Here with some amazing people today to have a really good conversation about direct messages, clear communication. As you know, Black Fly on the Wall recently released a capsule entitled Direct Messages, Clear Communication, and it's all about the double entendre of communicating directly and clearly, but also as we progress through this, through life and as young adults, like we always have to make sure that we're managing the direct messages. So like the tone of how we do that and how we progress through the conversations that we have with people and individuals, whether that be relationships, intimately, relationships with your mother, father, brothers, siblings, children. It's all about the clear communication and really mastering the art of how we communicate. So I'm here with some dope people here, and I'm going to have Miss Kateria introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Kateria Poe. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor, healing advocate, and a motor vehicle accident survivor.
Nice. Sam, I am.
What's going on, man? You already know. Sam, Master and the Man, pharmaceutical engineer, YouTuber, content creator, co-host Black Fly on the Wall. So we out here.
Absolutely.
Nice. Kennedy Meeks from Charlotte, North Carolina, professional basketball player and musician.
Absolutely.
Let's get it.
Absolutely. Kateria, what does it mean to you to communicate clearly and concisely?
Yeah, let's start there.
So I think first, before we can communicate anything clearly, we have to figure out what is it that we're feeling? Like, what is it that I'm trying to communicate, you know? And so I know all of us are multi-talented, right? Y'all just talked about the different spaces that y'all have to navigate. And depending on where you are, you're going to say it a different way. If you're talking to your wife, if you're talking to, you know, your little niece or nephew or your son, you're going to say things differently, you know? So I think first we have to think about what is it that I have to say and who am I talking to? So that direct communication for me, at first, like, just starts out with knowing who you are, knowing what you want to communicate.
Nice. Sam, what has been your experiences with just communicating clearly and directly?
I think it's been positive. I think I sentiment what you said about, you know, knowing who you're going to actually talk to and knowing what you actually want to say. I like toyed with the alignment of code switching when it comes to communicating.
Yeah.
And not so much changing who you are, but you also have to change, like, if I'm, like you said, I'm talking to a younger person, I can't communicate the same way that I am with an adult. So it's almost like you have to have a form of like code switching with communication to where your end person can receive it the right way.
Yeah.
Meeks, talk to us, man.
Man, I think communicating just boils down to being honest, you know. I think honesty is the best policy, you know, as cliche as it sounds, but even when you're talking to a kid, being as honest as you can, so when they're older, they don't run into those situations where somebody's lying to them and they're trying to figure out why they're in that situation. And just from my past experience, I just learned that just being honest is the best way to go.
Absolutely.
Communication and being available for them emotionally too.
Do you feel, do any of you all feel like, as we're the millennial culture and you know, we are basically the individuals who were tested social media on, right? MySpace to Facebook to Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So when we were in college and undergrad, you know, Instagram was developing and popping by that time. Do you all feel like the role of social media has hindered how we communicate and how directly we communicate?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it has hindered it. And also, I think it has provided a lot of positive opportunities, like what we're doing right now. You know, so a lot of people are going to hear us speak from different walks of lives that would have never experienced it, right, without social media, which I think is the positive. And the other side, I feel like it's a lot of negativity, right? So we know hurt people.
For sure.
And those are the most viewed. Those are the most liked, you know, and not even that people are talking about it, but in secret, it's almost like it's not addressed, you know? So I think it's definitely a positive side that comes from it. But yeah.
What about you, Sam?
I think it's, again, like you can't hide things now. So like it's almost like it's making everything be communication, right? The things that used to go around in secret are exposed now to the masses, right? Even when it comes down to like financial literacy, there's things that people didn't know because it wasn't passed down, but we're learning through social media. So it's good and it's bad because I think on the bad end, we're not as complete with our communication. We're so used to doing hashtags and such small communications, quick DMs or something like that, that when it comes down to having a deep conversation with somebody, we're not as practiced as we used to be.
I agree. I think too, I think more so it affects how we interact with people in person.
You're right.
To where it's like we're so comfortable with communicating online. We're so comfortable there are some people that don't even text. They talk to people on Snapchat. Or they talk to people on Instagram group. Like you can create now, you can create a group chat on Instagram. So you talking more so in the group chat on the gram than you do to people in person.
Talking
so
through
like,
memes.
It's kind of like the communication is like watered down in a way to where a lot of times you see people in person and they're not who they really are on social media. Not really in a negative way, but just in a way that shows you like, wow, social media does create and does provide individuals with ability but also too is like they're providing with an opportunity to talk and to speak, but it also diminishes how well you interact with people in person.
Right.
You know,
which is ultimately still important. Like,
correct.
Because business deals are done in person. So it's like if you get into a meeting and you can't really communicate what you want out of that partnership, then you're almost doing yourself a hindrance almost. So
Meeks, I was going to ask you, what's the importance of when communicating with somebody, whether it be the opposite sex, a friend, or whatever it may be, for us to make sure we ask for clarity on what the situation is, or clarification of what a situation is?
I think before having any conversation, you got to check the tone of the conversation because human nature, if somebody's getting loud with you, you're going to get loud with them back. So I think it's important that no matter what you're talking about, you have a good tone to it because things can rise up really fast from just arguing or raising your voice or being too aggressive. And I think just changing the tone of a lot of things can change the world as a whole.
Absolutely. I agree with Kateria. What you think?
And I also say, like, making sure you're aware and taking into account the person that is saying that thing to you, you know? So I listen for a living, right? Like, that's what I do. And so for me, the gag is also naturally, right? When I'm not working, I don't be listening. Like, I just don't.
That's true.
Turn it off.
Right, I turned it off. And my cousin one day, she was saying something to me, and she was like, stop, because, like, you not listening to me, you know? But because it's my cousin, and because I know she was saying it out of love, like, I really had to stop. And I was like, dang, I really wasn't listening to nothing you was saying, you know? So I think a part of it is, too, like, when you have those people who are around you, make sure you know, like, hey, they're not just saying this, right? This is somebody who loves me that's saying this, and let me make sure I'm really, like, receiving it.
And, like, one thing I learned, like, as a therapist, but one thing I learned going to therapy is, like, active listening. Like, you know, whenever somebody is actively listening to you, they're taking notes. They are repeating back the things that you are saying to them to make sure that they are understanding what you're saying. And so I think active listening is, like, on a whole nother level of being engaged in the conversation. And it's the only way to do that is for make sure that there's a tug of war between you, the person speaking, and you as the active listener, to where that person that's speaking is communicating directly and clearly, and you as a listener is making sure that you are actively listening and engaging in the conversation. A lot of times it's like kind of like through one ear and out the other, and that's not really being respectful of the conversation or that person's time. But the only way to continuously do that is to continuously just engage in conversations in a healthy way.
You got to also take out like your own emotions in certain situations because like you said, your cousin can check you because you're like, all right, this person loves me. Like, I actually need to listen to what they're saying. But a lot of times you listen to respond. Like, so somebody said something, but you've been harping on that point for 10 minutes. You like, all right, I can't wait to get this point out.
10 minutes, years.
Years. I couldn't wait to bring this back up. So I think, especially with our generation, a lot of times we listen to respond. And like you said, we don't practice those actively listening tools that will help us further on down the line. So
Yeah. And I will say too, I think that's one of the downsides that comes with social media because we think we know everything,
Oh, yeah.
right? We have access to everything
this
in the palm of our
information.
hand.
Yeah.
Yes, right. But a different perspective or someone saying it a different way can still help add on to what we already know.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
For sure. Hey, looking for your dream home in Raleigh, North Carolina? Look no further than Duncan Prime Realty. Brandon Duncan is an experienced real estate professional and is dedicated to helping you find the perfect home for your needs and lifestyle. Whether you are a first-time home buyer or looking to upgrade, Duncan Prime Realty has the expertise to guide you through the process from start to finish. From charming bungalows to modern luxury homes, Duncan Prime Realty has a wide range of properties to suit every taste and budget. So why wait? Contact Duncan Prime Realty today and let him help you find your dream home in Raleigh, North Carolina and other surrounding cities. Contact Brandon at 919-808-2001 and Brandon at DuncanPrimeRealty.com. And I think like perspectives is all about, like you said, seeing things from a different way. But that's what opens up your mind to just new thoughts and new ideals,
Right.
Into where like for years I've had this perception or this thought process about this particular thing, but now I see it from a different lens. Now I see it from a different way. Now I see it like, okay, like I genuinely like this person's perspective or feedback on something, and you're like, okay, I now want to implement this into my life, or I now want to try something different, or I want to try this type of yoga, or this different type of meditation, or this different type of dietary lifestyle. Like I want to try something different, just to add a different frequency into my life. And so, being open to ideals and perspectives is key. Right. Like Sam, what would you say? Share like a personal experience where you may have been loud and wrong, but could have been. Just a good listener.
Too many times. Loud and wrong. I mean, I can't really think of like a specific time like off the top of my head, but I just know like there's been instances in life, right, where it's like I've made up my mind and there was no changing it, regardless of what people have said or people have brought to my attention. It was ego, right? And a lot of times you let that ego control your ability to communicate. I'm mad, so I don't care what you got to say. Like, but then like you recheck yourself, you come back to it, and you're like, actually, let me listen, let me comprehend, and let me open up a space that we can move on because my ego was in the way right now.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And what about you, man?
I mean, I think we deal with it all the time in basketball. You know,
For sure.
Us being on the court in itself makes us think that we know everything, or we're the ones out there playing, we're the ones out there sweating and
For sure.
getting scratched, and all those things. But you got to think about the coach's perspective too. Like they're watching the game, they see stuff that we don't see as well. So as long as we got that respect level, I think it's all good. But definitely basketball, you see it every day.
And you said respect, and that made me think of like boundaries.
Yeah.
How important for you do you feel like throughout your life of managing relationships with your friends, with your families, line brothers, whatever it may be, that making sure that your boundaries are placed there so people respect and understand those boundaries when it comes down to communication for you?
Well, I mean, we all know it's certain boundaries for certain people. You're willing to go a certain extent for people that you hold dear and near to your heart. So I just think for me, personally, in my experiences, I've had family who have wanted things, and even though I was able to do it, I didn't, off of the simple fact that I got bigger fish to fry. I got a different objective than what you may think, what the person asking for stuff may think. And at the end of the day, bro, it's my money. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether we want to talk about it or not, like, I'm busting my ass every day to get to where I want to be and provide for the people that...
To be an earner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to be an earner. What about you, Kateria?
Yeah. When it comes to boundaries, I think for me, it was something that I really had to learn at an early age. And so being the youngest of 5, by the time I was born, like, not to say my siblings did everything wrong, but like it was easy for me, I felt like, to make my mom happy, to make her. And so, but I think for me, that sort of translated into me having poor boundaries in the world because I wanted people to be good, right? If you're around me, I wanted to make sure that, everybody else was good, but then I wasn't good. And so I think for me, setting those boundaries really came once I realized that I don't have to be the person that's setting the mood in the room all the time. And if I am, I'm probably in the wrong rooms. If I'm the only
You
person.
could be a fly on the wall.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so I think for me, it was really like just saying, I can say no, I can have these boundaries, and people then get to decide, if they want to show up, if they want me to be around, and if they really want me to be a part of their life.
Looking for the freshest kicks in town? Look no further than Kick Unlimited, keeping it collective. Kick is located in Apex, North Carolina, sneakerhead's paradise. They offer rare and unique sneakers that are perfect for everyday wear or for adding to your collection. And they don't just stop at shoes. The selection of vintage clothing is just as impressive. At Kick Unlimited, they believe that everyone deserves to look and feel their best, and that starts with the right pair of sneakers. So go check them out and see why they are one of the dopest sneaker stores in North Carolina. Stop by 103 North Salem Street, Suite B, Apex, North Carolina, 27502, and give them a call at 919-355-2441. Kick Unlimited. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It goes back to respect too. They'll respect your boundaries if they respect you.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's like you shouldn't be around me.
And I think the biggest thing with boundaries is that like you got to make them set, and then you have to initialize them and show them that these boundaries exist.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's no bending or breaking in
Exactly.
that. Because and naturally human beings are going to try you.
Yep, exactly.
And they're going to
they
try you
will.
like, she said it's a boundary, but is it really?
Is it really?
And we naturally bend them. Like you said, you got to
do.
stand on it. We like, okay, well, it's my mom.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I just set these boundaries, so I can kind of break them. They still getting adjusted to them.
Exactly.
Boundaries is set. Like,
my mama.
exactly.
Exactly.
Like, we so quick to bend them. It's like, nah, stand on it and stand on the work. 'Cause like you said, at the end of the day, it's my life. Like, ain't nobody else gonna live it for me. So,
But bro, how hard is it telling your mom no?
oh,
You
it's
know
the
what I'm
hardest.
saying?
Yeah,
It's
I'll still
tricky.
bend that
It
boundary
is.
For boys.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, especially
I'll
for men.
still bound it for her.
Yeah, especially for men.
Especially for men,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially for men because like the relationship with your mom, I'm pretty sure like you all as young men can tell, like it progresses after you become an adult. So it's no longer like, it's kind of like she's like pulled off, she's like kind of like let go of the reins. And it's like, all right, now my son is out in the world doing amazing things. I'm just proud of you. You all develop more of a relationship, kind of like
I did my job. And
mentee, like
exactly.
mentor type.
Yeah.
It transitions from her like having to be on you, having to correct you,
Right.
having to stay on top of you, to where it's more of a free flowing relationship with rhythm now. And that can be sometimes a challenge to manage within itself, because you like now like it's like almost like for me, it's like you love your mom even more when you become like a man.
No,
like, an
really
adult.
though. Yeah.
Because like you're like, whenever you love her because she's your mom, but like during times of like whenever you all are kind of head to head and she's really riding you to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to, you be like, I love my mom, but I don't want to talk to her right now. Whereas right now, especially if you're doing what you're supposed to do in life, the relationship is just free flowing and it's just right.
Yeah.
So
And it's work that has to happen on both ends for that too. Like even you talk about your relationship with your mom and it evolve into a mentee mentor type relationship, right? The parent, right? The mom also has to realize that, hey, he don't need me as much now, And so I think even in working with women, I've seen so many women create their whole life about their children, which is good until they grow up and have their own lives, you know? So I think at the same time too, like a part of setting boundaries is also letting other people learn the lessons that they need to learn, So me telling you no, you got to go figure it out some other way.
They talk about that with like marriages too, like the husband and wife have prioritized the kids so much that after they get empty nest, they don't even know how to talk to each other because we only know each other as the parents.
Right.
Well, you've attached yourself to a title.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you've attached yourself to, I am a dad, I am a mom, and then when the kids go off and they no longer need you, you're really stuck with an identity crisis. Because what you've attached yourself to no longer is in play.
Right.
So like we have to continuously just be.
Yeah.
Like me and Farrah talked about it like during her episode, is just just be, just continue to become and progress
Right.
through the life cycle, and to be present in the moment, and to just be the I am. And if you're the I am, you don't really have to worry about what your title is, because you're able to just master yourself.
Right.
And if it's a challenge to master yourself, if you're always identifying yourself as something else. And so like we have to just let our work be our work. Let our title as a parent, sibling, friend, whatever it may be, let it be what it is. But we don't have to put the energy into it.
Right.
That almost leaves you in disarray if that title is no longer present.
Yeah.
That's
Because
almost
they're-
like a
they're-
form of communication now.
Right.
Because the work that I'm putting in is communicating to those around me, the universe, and myself of who I'm trying to be without me even saying it. I'm communicating everything just through my actions.
Yep.
Hey, are you looking for your dream home in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina? Well, look no further. Noor Group is Charlotte's premier real estate brokerage. Their team of experienced agents will work to find you the perfect property in the most sought-after neighborhoods. Whether you are a first-time home buyer or looking to upgrade, Noor Group has a diverse range of options to fit your unique needs and budget. Their slogan, "Find out why we're different," makes them your premier real estate choice. Trust them to guide you through the buying process with professionalism and expertise. Contact Noor Group of Charlotte today at 704-397-3661 and by visiting wearenoor.com and let them help you find your perfect place to call home. Noor Group of Charlotte, North Carolina. And two, like I think going through the life cycle and the life path of like growing relationships and all of that good stuff is the assessing how to communicate with tone and
man.
appropriateness.
Yeah.
Like it's very
that
like
tone is major.
you have to go through like a humbling experience
Right.
as an individual to be able to learn how to master tone
Yeah.
and kind of telling yourself like, all right, let me take a deep breath
me
before I
chill, yeah.
respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a situation with somebody and they call on your phone, it may not be the best time to answer it. Or I don't need to respond back to this text message right now. I need to go through this process of thinking before I respond. And I was just going to ask you, Meeks, like how as a man and as you've grown, how have you mastered or continuing to master like how you communicate during certain situations and how you manage your tone?
Yeah, I think the position I'm in matters a lot as far as where I'm at in life. Because, you know, like, I mean, we're men, but not all the time can we be strong for everybody, you
Right.
know? We need somebody to be strong for us sometimes. And we all hit that wall where we had the ability to provide or not, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, you got to step up to the plate. You got to perform no matter what, you know, being laid off a job. It's just the responsibilities of a man, you know, being laid off a job, still finding a way, being a father, still teaching your kids valuable rules and lessons, being a friend, you know, being open and honest with all your friends, especially when they need to hear it most, being a son, you know, telling your parents, not in a disrespectful way, but, you know, letting them know, setting the boundaries like you said before. It's so important to who we are as people and how we can grow every day. So
Even in your profession, though, too, like
Yeah.
your tone can set
Yeah.
your playing time,
Yeah.
can set your ability to get on the court. You
Yeah.
can get a tech. Literally, you can get
Yep.
teed up depending on your tone. So, like,
Yeah.
I think especially as an athlete, you've probably had to manage that early on
Yeah,
about
man.
managing your tone and how you communicate.
yeah.
What about you, Kateria?
Yeah, I would definitely say for me, it's even I feel like a transition I'm going into now, you know. So even with being a therapist, we get really good at, you know, meeting the person where they are.
Yeah.
But working corporate America, doing therapy where I didn't have any control over anything, like I still showed up in a sense, like with some anxiety because I wasn't setting the tone, right? My employer was setting the tone and I had to show up and do like
expectations,
right? Their expectations, right? That they wanted me to see, and so a lot of the times it would be more so quantity. How many people did you see, right? In and out, in and out, and I'm just like, no, like how many people did I actually help? Like that's what's more important to me, So I think now as I'm venturing out and working for myself, it's so much easier for me to set that tone because I don't have to think about what somebody else wants me to accomplish during that therapy session. Like I can really think about what is that person, what is so-and-so, what do they need, and how am I showing up to make sure that, they're working in session to get what they need, right? Because my job is really not about, doing the work for them. It's about being a mirror, so I can show you all day, like the things that you're doing, and I can give it back to you, but at the end of the day, once that session is over, it's up to you to carry out, right, what you said you were going to do in our sessions, So setting the tone for me has been really important. It's an ongoing process, right? When we transition into different rooms, we have to shift a little bit, right? We have to pivot. And so I think that tone, body language, like all of that is super important. But it definitely begins with knowing ourselves too, like we've already talked about.
What's good, foodies and podcast enthusiasts? We've teamed up with Mike's Vegan Grill to bring you the ultimate dining experience. Are you craving delicious vegan cuisine that's good for both your taste buds and the planet? Look no further than Mike's Vegan Grill, nestled in the heart of Greensboro, North Carolina. Picture this, mouth-watering plant-based dishes prepared with love and infused with flavors that will tantalize your senses. From their signature vegan burgers to delectable vegan desserts, Mike's Vegan Grill is redefining plant-based dining in Greensboro, North Carolina. So whether you're a vegan veteran or simply curious of trying something new, head over to Mike's Vegan Grill in Greensboro, North Carolina to be a part of the taste revolution. Mike's Vegan Grill and Black Fly on the Wall podcast, where good food and captivating stories collide. And you have a son, right?
Yeah, I have a son.
And so how has it been with being a mother? Have you learned that I have to manage how I communicate with my son in comparison to how I communicate with my friends?
Oh, yes, definitely. I have a son. He is a mama's boy. Yes. And I love him because my son, he brings out this side of me, like this really playful side, and I play with him so much that I have to remind myself you probably a little too relaxed. But
at the end of the day.
How old is he?
He's 7. He's 7.
Okay.
So as soon
He
as
got
he
a best
gets,
friend.
he get in the car, what up, dude? He just walk up like you just two-piecing me, and I'm just like, yo, we're out somewhere. Don't walk up in two-piece because they gonna think something is wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, and so we have a really good relationship, but also with him, I can say something if I'm mad at him, if I say 2 words, my tone just changed. He's over. I'm so sad. You hurt my feelings. You can't just say that to me. So I think at the same time with me being a therapist, I've taught him all this stuff and emotional awareness.
He a little therapist.
And he flip it. You can't say that. I didn't like the way that you said that. It just hurt my feelings. Yeah. And so I think when it comes to him, he works it. Yeah, I definitely have to. So he works it. But I think even for me, it's a constant reminder.
Right.
I think when you have kids, your tone, because it can be the smallest thing to you, but that irritation, they see it, and it can be so simple. If I don't respond the way that he's used to me, he knows oh, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So I think as a parent, I'm super sensitive to how he sees me, but I also try to make sure he sees me in that raw form too, because I'm not perfect. I'm still learning.
Yeah,
so I tell him, what, you were right. I am sorry. I was frustrated, that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
How do you I guess navigating relationships and dating? In therapy there is a area of psychoanalyzing the conversation. So how does that go into communication with someone you're dating where they don't feel like they're talking to a therapist, but they're actually getting you? How do you navigate that line?
Yeah. And so first I always tell people, and I said already here, that I don't work for free, and I don't say that just for them, but I say it to myself, because once you practice doing, I've been a therapist for 11 years, so when I start talking, when I'm listening, my ears are up just because that's what I do naturally.
Yeah.
But I also had to realize, for myself, when am I in the therapist role and I shouldn't be, so most of the time I'm not speaking. If I'm quiet, I'm sitting back and I'm observing, right? And that's how I had to remind myself, no, you're not, you're supposed to be talking, you're a part of this, right?
Yeah, right.
So the difference with therapy is that my job is to observe. My job is to be very specific, right? Analyzing. But when I find myself doing that in spaces, and I'm like, I'm not getting paid for this, right? Speak up.
Let me clock out.
Yeah, right, clock out, right? And so I think for me, again, it just comes with making sure that I'm showing up, like that I'm bringing myself, not the therapist me, but Kateria Pug, KP, like the people who know me, then so that part.
But that's still your passion, though.
And it still is. And it still is. And I think I became a therapist because that's something I naturally do. Like I said, being the youngest of 5, I was the peacemaker oftentimes, before I even knew what a peacemaker was. Right.
Yeah,
I was born
exactly.
into it, and I'm just like, so.
And I think overall, man, I've learned that clear communication is also about like the tangible things that you're doing to improve your communication.
Right.
And so like the biggest thing for me of how I've been able to enhance my communication is just through reading. Like reading has just shifted everything for me when it comes down to the type of books I read, the vocabulary that I develop, and the structure of sentences and how different stories embedded and decoded within messages will enhance your psyche on just how you see life. And as you shift your perspective of life, that then allows you to shift your perspective of how you communicate with others. And a lot of times, too, is whenever you're communicating, you have to realize that you're communicating with yourself because we're all an extension of the Creator. And so if we're all an extension of the Creator and we're all a part of the all, the big umbrella over all of this that we're experiencing in this reality, that we're always interacting with ourself, just a different image of that.
Right.
And so it's just like the old saying, treat others the way you want to be treated. The decoded
words out my
message and
mouth.
all of that is that you're communicating with you.
Yep.
They just look a little different. They're different ethnicity, they're different social economic status. And so we have to always continue to make sure that we're communicating clearly and directly, just so that we can make sure that we're getting our message across that we want to really get across. So direct messages, clear communication. I appreciate y'all, your perspectives, your vulnerability, and just the overarching input on how individuals in our circle, our family, our friends, can communicate better. And then, as parents, I think you all are understanding that process of communication being is really a journey. It's not really like a destination. Like as your kids continue to age and progress, like you're gonna have to shift how you communicate.
Right.
And so how you're communicating now, but whenever your son is 7, when he's 17, it's going to be completely different.
Right.
He still may be rolling up on you like, "What up, though?"
That ain't going nowhere.
No shit.
What up, though, for the rest of the
No shit.
You know what I'm saying? But still, you're understanding and you're going through that process, and you're just growing to be you. Much love. Thank you all.
Absolutely, man.
Good conversation.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For my brothers never had an ear to hear 'em. These the bricks for our sisters help us build it. If I could be a black fly on the wall, I can hear and see it all and have the mind of a god. Black, 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 black. Fly, 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 fly. Black, black, black.